Welcome to the very first lesson of Customer Insight Intelligence. We're so glad you're here and we're ready to jump right in.
Let me start by asking you a simple question. Have you ever been sitting in a renewal meeting and suddenly everyone around the table realizes the customer isn't renewing? It's a total shock. Somebody chimes in, but they never said they were unhappy. Or, wait, their health score was completely green just last month. And my personal favorite, we literally just had a quarterly business review with them. Ultimately, someone asks the million-dollar question, how did we not see this coming?
If you've been in sales or customer success for a minute, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Today, we're going to figure out how to fix it. We'll quickly run through the renewal surprise, recognizing patterns, the data misconception, insight intelligence, and finally, how to make the critical shift from hindsight to foresight. All right, let's dive right into part one, the renewal surprise. The funny thing is, customers almost never just wake up one random morning and suddenly decide, yep, I'm out. In reality, that decision to leave actually starts brewing weeks or even months before they ever officially tell you. Think about it. The renewal conversation isn't where the customer makes their decision. It's just where they reveal the decision they've already made. And that distinction is absolutely crucial, because if they've already made up their mind by the time you're talking renewal, well, you have almost no influence left. The real window of opportunity happens way earlier, long before procurement or pricing even comes up. The problem isn't that customers are intentionally hiding their plans, it's that organizations are completely missing the signals they're already sending.
Which brings us to section 2, recognizing patterns, or what I like to call the silent signals. Think about your own personal relationships for a second. Friendships or even business partnerships rarely just end over one single conversation, right? Instead, it's a bunch of small, subtle changes. Maybe you talk less often, meetings get pushed, and that baseline of trust just kind of fades. On their own, these little moments might seem insignificant, but put them all together, they tell a very different story. And guess what? Customers act the exact same way. Their behavior changes long before their contract actually does. So what do these changes look like? You might notice product usage starting to dip, or maybe support tickets suddenly fluctuate. Either they spike or they just completely drop off. Key stakeholders start skipping your meetings. Your executive sponsors leave the company. Expansion talks totally stall out, or suddenly invoices are being paid late. Now, to be fair, any one of these things on its own doesn't automatically mean the customer's definitely going to churn. But when you look at them together, a pattern starts to emerge. And spotting those patterns is exactly what smart organizations do.
The sad truth, though, is that most businesses don't manage their customers by looking at patterns. They manage them by reacting to events. They wait for a massive support escalation, or the actual renewal date, or a terrible survey score to finally trigger some attention. They're basically waiting for a giant, obvious alarm bell to ring before doing anything. And by then, you've already lost so much valuable time. And that leads right into part 3, the data misconception. There is this huge myth out there that just buying more software, CRM platforms, product analytics, business intelligence dashboards automatically leads to better decisions. Companies pour a ton of money into these tools, but even with all of those shiny new dashboards, executive teams still end up totally blindsided by churn. So why does this keep happening? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Information alone doesn't create insight. Think of it like sitting in the cockpit of a modern airplane. You've got literally hundreds of instruments up there. Altitude, fuel, engine temp, wind speed, cabin pressure, weather, the whole shebang. Now, the pilot isn't just staring obsessively at one single gauge the entire flight. They're interpreting all of those different measurements together to understand the overall health of the plane. The instruments just give you the raw data. It's the pilot who actually uses that combined data to make decisions. Now imagine if every single one of those dials was perfectly accurate, but nobody in the cockpit was actually connecting the dots to figure out what the combination meant. That would be a terrifying way to fly. But crazy enough, that is exactly how so many organizations manage their customer relationships. Every department is basically hoarding their own isolated piece of the puzzle. Support has the tickets, finance has the billing history, customer success has the health scores, sales has the forecasts, and product has the usage data. But almost no one is putting all those pieces together into one complete picture. Because of this massive disconnect, executives end up wasting so much time asking things like, so how healthy is this account really? Or why did adoption drop? Are we expecting a renewal? Here's the thing, they shouldn't have to ask those questions. They should already know the answers. This is exactly why we need part 4, Customer Insight Intelligence. And let me be clear, this is not just another dashboard or some convoluted new reporting framework. It's a completely new way of thinking. It's a real management capability and discipline. The whole point of customer insight intelligence is to take all those scattered customer signals and transform them into confident executive decisions before your revenue is actually at risk. Notice how the focus here isn't on just hoarding more information. It's about drastically improving the quality of your decisions. Let's be real, organizations do not need more customer data. What they desperately need is better customer understanding. Which brings us to our final section, the shift from hindsight to foresight. As we go through this course together, you're going to learn exactly how to spot those critical signals, combine them into real insights, and figure out exactly which accounts need your attention right now. This is all about empowering your leadership to make proactive moves instead of just reacting to the past.
By the time we wrap up this program, you're going to stop asking, man, why did that customer leave us? Instead, your new default will be, what signals are popping up today that we need to act on before this customer even considers leaving? That mental shift, moving from looking in the rearview mirror to looking through the windshield, is the absolute core of customer insight intelligence. It's truly the difference between an organization that just crosses its fingers and manages renewals and one that actively protects its recurring revenue.
All right, before we wrap up this lesson, I've got a quick practical exercise for you. I want you to pick one specific customer your company lost sometime in the last 12 months. Got one? Okay, now I want you to work backwards from their renewal date. Look at the 6 months prior and write down every single signal that changed. Maybe usage dropped, maybe your champion stopped replying to emails, or maybe they paid an invoice late. Don't stress about finding the root cause just yet. Your goal here is just to recognize that these silent signals almost always exist. Keep this customer in the back of your mind because we're going to use them again to help build out your very own customer insight intelligence framework. In our next lesson, we're going to dive into the hidden cost of reactive customer success. We'll talk about why the old way of doing things keeps us stuck reporting on history instead of actually predicting the future, and how that limits your ability to protect revenue. So I want to leave you with this final thought. What signals are emerging right now, today, that require you to take action before your customer even considers walking out the door? Think about it. I'll see you in the next lesson.